I'm probably going to speed through it in some parts, might slow down. It's 5 hours long. It's a mega tutorial. I love to watch those because I like to have, if possible, as much as possible of that subject within one video, because if it's by that one person definitely knows a lot. And this person, I'm pretty sure I've actually watched this stuff before for Unreal 4.24 and all that stuff, because I got 5.0 up already, which already the stuff looks way different, which is really spicy. Already got like a test going, which has started this, which is just a blank thing, but we're going to open it up. This looks sick. 5.03 right here, baby. Because I'm already kind of, got some experience, but still need to relearn. It's always great to also relearn, because there's this and new binds, and I'm trying to like figure this out, which I'm hitting Control and Spacebar to do that. But I'm doing pretty good, and also I have experience from Blender, so this is also another thing that's going to help me a lot. Yeah, he's showing it right there.
Move forward, S move backwards. And
but I already figured that out before I even said it, and I just wanted to see if there's any other stuff.
The right mouse button.
Let's just zoom.
If you are not holding down the right mouse button and you try to use WASD, then nothing will happen. So make sure you do hold that down. Now we can also control our camera speed. So let's say, for example, there's an object that's really far away and you want to go towards that object, but your camera is moving too slow. Well, if you come up here to the top right-hand corner and select the camera icon, you're now able to control that speed. So right now we're at 4, we can also raise up to 6, and now we are a lot faster. And
okay, I wonder if we can bind
that. And we can see that we are pretty slow. So let's leave it at 4.
So I might have to increase this a little bit in certain moments.
And use the scroll wheel. So scroll wheel up, we'll move faster, and scroll wheel down, we'll move slower.
Okay.
So that's a shortcut, that's how you don't have to come up here and continually play with the camera speed.
And then shift is like stopping.
Here's a really good tip. Let's say if you scroll really far away, so you fly really far away from where the bulk of your geometry, where your world is, and then you look around and you can't find your objects anymore. What you can do is come up to any of the objects right here. Let's say, for example, the chair, select that, and then press the F key to focus on that object.
F,
so
okay.
Press F to then snap to that
Oh, that's why, because in Blender there's an add-on I have. And I'm like, why did they change it to F? To focus on an object. Whoa. Oh, there's a sphere. Oh, that's so sick. And then, boop, go right into the sphere. So cool.
Like this. So that's how you're never lost in the world. So if you ever played any first-person games, you should be right at home since the muscle memory is there for WASD keys and rotating your camera by moving your mouse. Now, if we press F again to then zoom in onto an object, we can rotate around that object by holding down Alt and the left mouse button. So Alt and left mouse button allows us to rotate around a pivot object.
There's that.
If we hold down Alt, hold down the right mouse button, we can zoom in and out. So right mouse button, zoom in and out. Left mouse button, to pivot around that object. And to focus on object.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Just like Before we move on, let's briefly go over the viewport controls. But we know the different ways that we can view our world. So up here we have perspective. Let's say if you want a top-down bird's eye view, then we can click on the perspective button.
I need this as well.
So to control in an orthographic view mode, you want to hold down the right mouse button to pan,
I don't like that keybind.
Zoom in and out. So right mouse button pan, scroll wheel to zoom in and out. We can also view the side, like maybe the left side, same controls. And of course, if you want to go back into perspective, we come up here. So
hold up. Turn this down.
Select the button and click on perspective. Notice how a lot of the buttons in Unreal have a shortcut right next to it. For example, perspective shortcut is Alt and G. So instead of coming all the way up here and selecting perspective in the dropdown,
Alt J I can remember.
At the same time to go back into perspective. So right next to perspective is our view modes. So view modes are pretty great because they allow us to see our world in different ways. For example, maybe we don't want to see all the lights and we just want to see the colors of our world. Instead of coming up to lit, I can select unlit right there, or I can even select wireframe to see our world's edges and vertices. We will be changing our view modes a lot. So it's a great way to debug our scene and see if there's anything wrong. So I'm gonna come back up.
Wait, hold up. So hold up. Alt 2 is lit, so that's like rendered. Alt 3, unlit. Okay, that's... there we go. Okay. Yeah, okay. Nice. That's big. Then I can go in, do that, then I can Alt 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Here to lit.
Because there's other stuff here too.
Alt 3 for unlit and Alt 2 for wireframe. So let's jump back to Alt and 4 to get our default view. And right next to our view modes is the show flags. So show flag allows us to turn on and off different object types. For example, what if I don't want this grid right here at the bottom?
Another big thing.
Yeah. That to hide the grid. Now maybe for some reason you don't want to show our static meshes, and essentially static meshes are all the objects you see right here. Then with the show flags, we can uncheck static meshes, and we no longer see those static meshes.
Yeah, now, because we don't want that. The circle is also static
mesh. Bring back the default flags by clicking on Use Defaults. And keep in mind,
which we just saw because it had, we saw it in wireframe. And the texture that's applied to it. I wonder if it's an HDRI? It's actually moving. So no, this is a, oh, so that's how they do those clouds in the game. Okay, so that's just Unreal clouds. Okay. Because Hell Let Loose is made in Unreal 4. I don't know if they swapped over to 5. But I wonder if that's going to be a thing for them. So
let's see what we want in the viewports. And finally, this is my favorite viewport option, and that is Game View. So if you come up here and click on the button with the 3 lines, we have Game View all the way down here. And we can see that the shortcut is G. Now, if I enable Game View, we're going to see exactly what the player will see in-game. So if we press G to untoggle Game View, we can see that we have all these different widgets, and we have the grid right here. And of course, the player won't see the sun widget right here, which controls the sun rotation. Instead, if we want to see exactly what the game will see, we click on G to hide all those widgets and features that are here for us, the editor. So just know that throughout this tutorial, when you see a bunch of widgets and these widgets just disappear, that's because I toggled on Game View with the G.
Awesome.
Now that we know how to navigate around our world, it's time to go over how to create new objects and move them around. So we're going to go over moving, scaling, and rotating objects. To begin, let's go over simple movement.
Yeah, once those keybinds...
And now all we see is our world.
What is it?
So to move an object, simply select it.
Hope it's same as Blender.
And by default, we get the translation or the movement gizmo. To move an object, hover over any of these arrows.
I actually don't like how it just don't like how it doesn't automatically do that, because that's world settings here. This is the location stuff. I actually had to open this. Didn't like that either. Doesn't make sense. But that's how that is. That should be default when you just get into Unreal.
And hold down the left mouse button. So I'm able to move this.
What? Oh, no, that. Oh, well, duh. Is there like a G?
Moving the chair isn't smooth. That's
because that's game mode.
Is turned on.
Crap,
now you turn off snapping by coming
move
up here and
Blender.
unchecking the grid icon like that. So now we can smoothly move our objects around. Now I'm going to turn it back on because it's important to know that Unreal uses centimeters. So right now, since there's a 10 right next to the icon, it's snapping every...
Unreal uses centimeters. Okay. Unreal uses centimeters. Interesting. That's really interesting. So if I wanted to convert right from Blender, I would have to mathematically take the feet or whatever, then go on Google, do a thing, feet to centimeters, and see that, copy that, and then scale it off of that, which I can probably guess I can do cm here for maybe like centimeters, I hope? No, I can't. Interesting. So I wonder how you do that. If not, maybe world, because it's interesting.
10 centimeters. We can change this by selecting the number and...
Oh, okay.
In the drop down, let's select 100. So now it's moving every 100 centimeters, which is 1 meter. So
but it's still, yeah, okay, but it's still centimeters though, I see. But that's still good though. I like that. Okay, there's no bind for that? Interesting.
Every time the chair moves, it moves 1 meter. So that's pretty important to know. Now I'm going to uncheck it because I do want smooth movements. Next up is rotation. So to rotate your object, you want to change its gizmo. To change a gizmo, you want to select one of the buttons up here. So right now it's on translation.
Do you
right
have
next to it is rotation. Now I can rotate this chair in all different...
Wait. Q? Okay, so you got to select in Q. Okay, that's W. Okay, so Q and W, nice, easy, side by side. R is scale? Okay, so Q, W, E, and R, so all side by side, like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. I like it. But a little confusing on why... I don't know why scale is not E, because R for rotates. Very easy for that to be right there. But okay. Okay, I gotta get used to that. And then Alt 1? Yeah. We were already on it. There we go.
Different axes. We can see that rotation snapping is turned on. If I want to turn that off, then right next to translation snapping, we have this icon right here. Make sure it's not blue. And now we're no longer snapping every 10 degrees.
I see.
Control Z to undo all those changes. And let's go over scaling. So right next to rotation, we have scaling. And scaling works pretty similar.
Oh, and it has... Oh, that's nice. I didn't even turn that on. It's an automatic thing.
To the rest of the gizmo.
Blender, you got to download an add-on.
All you have to do is hover over any of these squares.
That's
on
okay,
the left mouse button. And now we're going to scale.
I'm not bashing Blender, but it's like nice that it's like...
So if we want to turn off scale snapping, of course, just uncheck the icon right there. And now we can smoothly scale.
Oh, yeah.
Control Z a bit.
I'm trying to alt it or shift it.
It's important to point out that if I hover my mouse,
that's why I went
not over one of
close.
the individual squares, but the one square that's connecting all of them, so the one in the middle, hold down the left mouse button. I can move.
Blender's way of doing it is way better, though. It is, but... because I would just press S, then lock it with, like, R, Y, and Z for the rotations, X, Y, and Z.
Move my chair and scale it uniformly up and down.
This is a game, though, because, like, in that's where I'll scale it, come in here, do these. These are not super fine, but that's okay.
And if we hover over all these buttons, we see that there's shortcuts. So movement is W, rotation is E, and scaling is R. So that means
your boy's already on it, man.
E to rotate.
Whoa, what's this though?
R to scale.
Cycles of trans. Okay. See, like this type of stuff, especially getting back into talking about this stuff.
it is W to move, E to rotate, and R
I
to
love
scale.
this guy.
I
I
also
love
want
this
to
guy.
point out
See?
that
Smart.
we want to move our object in the direction of our object,
Love him.
then come up to this little globe icon, select it. That's how it's now a square. And we can see that we're now able to move the object in that object's direction. So move it locally instead of globally. If we want to switch it back to global,
Oh,
then click the
yes.
square
Thank
icon again to make
you.
it a globe,
Thank
and now we're
you.
moving.
That's huge. Huge in Blender, huge in anything. That's very huge because you'll have some not good orientated objects if you download and or do it yourself. This will help. That's huge. Especially if you're having some type of angle stuff for the world or whatever, that helps. That's awesome.
Moving it in the direction of
Okay.
the world and not that individual object. It's also
'Cause then
important
you
to point
put-
out
yeah.
that if I press W to get our translation widget, and if I hover over the square that's in between the different axes, I'm able to lock it and move it only in those two axes. So if I hover in between the Y and X axis, I just move it in between
Okay,
those
that's-
and
okay,
not in the
that's-
Z axis. I can also lock it in between the Z and Y axis.
That's good
just
as
like
a
this.
good
So let's press
medium
Control
for
and
this.
Z
I
to
like
undo
it.
those changes.
I like
now you're
that.
probably wondering, how do we create an object in our world? Well, there's a couple ways. Number one is that we can duplicate an object. So with any
Sure
object selected,
this.
for example, this statue, if I press Control and D, then we just duplicate that object. Now,
Yeah,
we
it's
didn't know the
easy.
change. That's because
Wait.
we duplicated it in the same spot as the original object. So if I hold down left mouse,
Is it duplicated linked? That's a thing. Would it be better copy and paste? That's a thing in Blender. And a lot of other things where if you duplicate, they link. So if you mess with one, it does it with another. Good thing to just keep in mind because I've had that issue multiple things. Codewalker, Blender, I think another program as well. I think the RTS Men of War editor that has that as well. Where if you duplicate, links it, which is a good thing for like if you need that, but that's like I never use that. That's only mainly for like hordes. And even then, why not copy and paste? But you know, well, to make it faster, you mess with one, it changes all, but it's like, how are you so sure you're not going to need to like change one? I always have to change that one or that like little, just that little piece that needs to be a, like if you got that shot in and it's looking good and everything, and it's like, wait, that just doesn't look right, doesn't look realistic. Then you got that duplicate thing. Now you have to spend more time to unduplicate it, make that, well, depending on the thing that you're in, because this has its own shader. But for Blender, it's a little bit easy. You can duplicate the texture, but it's like, depending on what you're doing, rocks, that's a big one there, depending if it's procedural or not. Even procedural in Unreal, their own stuff, especially with the clouds, or procedural and or like that type of movement of a texture to make it seem like it's procedural in a way, because there's a few different ways that you can actually fake it.
mouse button and move it out of the way, we can see that we did duplicate that object. And within the outliner, there's now a new object called statue 2, which is a copy of the original statue. So let's delete statue 2, and there is an easier way to duplicate. This is the way I
Copy?
duplicate.
Okay.
And that is hovering over an arrow with a translation widget selected and holding down Alt and left mouse button. So hold down.
Ooh, so they got the Adobe. Okay, that's an Adobe copy and paste. That's awesome. Yeah, okay, good. Much better. So it's Alt and drag. Since I got a big increments, that's why it's like, and then let go, do it again, let go, do it again. Nice and easy. I got RTX on too, so lighting is a thing
Double
that's,
those,
he's like, hey, let's not do that. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do that. Wait,
Simply
Alt drag.
drag, and now we're able to
Okay,
easily duplicate and drag an object away. So let's press Ctrl Z to undo all those changes. Now, another way to create an object is by using the Add tool up here in the toolbar. So, for example, let's click on Add, and let's come all the way down here to Shapes, and maybe we want to drag in a
Yes.
sphere, so we drag it in like this, or we can
Yeah.
even add in a light, like a point light, and we're able to drag it around in our scene. So let's go delete
Yeah.
those, and finally, the last way to add an object is through the content browser. So let's bring up the browser by holding down Control N.
And that's this. But I made mine like this, so it's always here because, actually, wait, yeah, right? Yeah, because I like how, unless I need to see the full screen, which I don't yet, I can just do this. I feel like that's more of a me having a thing from Blender. I don't want to have to press Control and Space each time. Even said that if you don't want to do that, to have it here. Then you have these little browsers, which I like way more because it feels more Blender-like for me. Oh, that's something that's not for you. Then of course change that or test that out because that's huge. Because speedrunning, that's important. That mentality, speedrun. They're not making mistakes. They're doing stuff precisely, but they're doing it in such an efficient way by cutting out off those microseconds that they can complete a whole game within an hour. That same mentality can be done for a project. That's what I do. I use that same mentality and I can complete projects that would take weeks. And it's just like, you just got to get over those red bumps, understand that process, once you figure it out, it's like the meta. Oh, so the gun shoots like this, the recoil. Okay, cool. And it's like, okay. So that's what we just kind of have to figure out here with everything in Unreal. And once that figures out, then you're a master of Unreal. It's only a matter of time. And or Blender.
Like this.
Whatever that you're actually doing to modding, whatever. Legitimately does matter.
So
but
by
for
holding
now,
shift,
I'm
you can
doing
select
Unreal.
multiple objects. So for example, if I have my chair on the left selected,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to select the chair on the right, I hold down shift. Now I have them both selected, and hold down shift
Okay,
again.
I'm so used to Blender. I gotta like right click, not left click, because left click is kind of like going in like this. Like I can't. This is me moving up and down on my mouse, right and left. So it's more of like a steady zoom, a zoom in, zoom down. While this is like a rotate when I right click.
And I can add in a table and the statue. Now, if I want to deselect an item, all I have to do is hold down Control and click on any items to deselect them. Now, all we have is the statue and the left
so that's
chair
Blender.
selected.
Okay.
And here's another tip. If I have the chair selected, hold down Alt and the left mouse button to drag out a new chair. Let's say if I want to drag this chair all the way over there, then I'm going to have to drag it across the screen, move my camera, drag it across my screen again, and it's just a huge hassle. Another way I can do it is by holding down the Shift while I'm dragging. So, if I hold the left mouse button on one of these arrows, and I want to lock my camera to the object, simply hold down Shift, and you're able to lock your camera to an object, which can...
Whoa. That's awesome. I like that. Whee. That's sick. I like it. Well, whee. And it just... You can. So immediately just shift, duplicate out. That's awesome. So it actually, yeah, pushes, it literally pushes your camera. Awesome. And mouse will change speed and all that stuff.
And save on a lot of time. So I'm going to press delete. And let's create a very, very simple scene just to get a hang of all the controls. So to begin, I want to hold down Shift. And let's select these two chairs. Hold down Alt and duplicate the mouse. So let go. Hold down Alt and left mouse button again. Alt and left mouse button again. Now let's go rotate some of these chairs. That's how they're facing inwards. So select a chair. Press
Okay,
E,
so he's just making a scene.
go up, and have them all face inside. Just like this.
This
And
is
it doesn't
5
have to be
hours. I
pretty
can't
perfect,
just
so we're
click
trying to
on
get
this
the
little
control at
bar.
this point. And then I'm going to select the table. Press R to scale it. And I want to elongate the table just a little bit, maybe even in its x-axis. Press E again. Let's rotate this.
I'm
Press
going
W,
because that's
move it into the middle right
1.7.
there. Select a chair. Hold on Shift. Let's select the other chair. And move them all
2.5. I see. Okay. So I'm going to do this because I don't want to copy him. I want to do my little own thing. Good to do that. But I mean, if you need to, you can. But for me, having Blender stuff, it's just like, I want to... For this... It's down here. Because I saw he just put out a light, so I'm going to put out a light here in a second. Okay. Oh, I keep left clicking. Do this. Rotate. Can I... Hold up. I'm holding it. 90. Oh. I thought you could, like, press 90 and it automatically, like... I was going to test 90 and see if it rotates, because I had a feeling it was 180, but it was actually negative 180, but still. There we go. Shift. And then Alt. Ah, yeah, there we go. Okay, now I'm starting to get smooth with it, with the lines. It's so weird. I want to... Ah, God, it's so weird to press E for rotate. I want to press R. It's so weird. I do understand why they have it, because it's like the most common thing. So it's like to save the person a microsecond. It's true. It's got to relearn it, which is kind of funny. And it's the speedrunning, like, set the language to, like, Japanese or whatever, because there's, like, less screen text, and so the thing goes faster. Which means your actual speedrunning will be faster, which is incredible. That's true. And it's shown in that way. There we go. I wanted to get it, like, perfect like that. Because it's like, well, there's got to be meaning here. Why would there be chairs at the edge. Why would this be like this? I feel like it's a little kind of like outdoor table, people chilling type stuff. Good and symmetric. And like a little chair to kind of go over here. Oh, well, the couch kind of go over here and chill. Then he wants to pull out a lamp. I'll pull out a lamp too. Wait, how does he pull out that lamp?
Add some lamps on both sides of the table. So press Control and Space. Within our content, starter content, and props, we have this SM_lamp ceiling. If I drag it in, this is exactly what I want. But right now, it's in the opposite direction. So I want this to be placed on the ground. I can press E, rotate this, and try to get to 180 degrees. Or I can press Control Z and re-enable snapping for rotation right here. And rotate it exactly negative 180 degrees, which is what I want. So press W. And
They're really why I was really hoping he was going to say, well, then you press this to actually snap it by typing it in. That's a big oversight if that's not a thing. Like, what? But, I mean, it's an oversight in the sense of, like, you could really speed up everything.
and let's move it. That's okay. It's directly
Also,
placed.
it's not that lamp. It's a ceiling lamp. That's why. That's, like,
Against the
flipped
ground,
upside
like,
down. But, I mean, hey.
Here. So I could try to guess exactly where it is, or I could snap any object I've selected to the object that's directly below it by pressing the end key. So that's E and D, not the end letter. So press E and D, end, and snap it there just like that. So press R
Yeah,
again,
baby.
scale this up
Thank
to the
you.
Z-axis, hold down
Got
Alt,
that.
and drag it in both the Y and X axis. Right there like this. Let's hold down Shift again, and drag both of those across our world just like that. And I would say congratulations, you now have a very, very simple level.
Awesome. So, yeah, because I want to place more. These lights are actually really aesthetic. They're nice. Whoever modeled them, props to you. Then click 2, Alt. Oh, I love that Alt. Oh, that's so, like, to not have to move. I'm going to get used to those W, like, this stuff, because that's true, because it's like, oh, it's going to feel, it's starting to feel nice.
If you've ever
Let's
been
see,
in a
what
very
do we
dark room and you decide to jump out into the daylight, you can feel your eyes start to hurt and everything is really bright, but slowly over time your eyes start to adjust until everything comes into focus. And that is exactly what Unreal Engine is trying to mimic by brightening our screen and darkening our screen. So I think we can create a better example by duplicating this map and creating a little house. So to do so, let's press Control and Space to go into our content drawer, and I want to duplicate minimal_default, which is right now located in starter content.
No, I don't, because I did create a level in Unreal. I think I saved it on an old
Max.
drive.
So right here is the current level that we have. There's a little asterisk right next to it, and that tells us that it needs to be saved. So press Control S to save the level, and to duplicate the level, simply press Control and D to duplicate.
Okay. Maps. Minimal_default. See right there. Control D. Okay.
Now let's go rename this to post
So I guess Control D doesn't have the link feature,
process example,
unless intended.
and let's go save it.
What is it? Post process example. Okay. Post. Oh. Example. Okay.
If I double click on minimal_default, this is the current map that we've been on, and then if I double click on post process example,
About. Double click. Select content to save.
this is the new map that we're about to edit. Now notice that our grid is pretty large right now. That's because we have our snapping set to 100. We can make the grid squares smaller by setting this back to 10 as its default. So now our grid is a little bit smaller. Or you can press G to hide all those editor
I
widgets.
see.
Now I want to start
Okay.
deleting all these objects.
Because I'm like, what
select an
happened
object
to them?
and delete it to get rid of it. And here is a little tip. If I go into the outliner, since I do want to delete all these chairs, I could hold down Control and select each chair individually. Or I can select the first chair at the very top of the list, hold down Shift, and select the last one, and then it'll select everything in between. So Control is to select individual objects, and hold down Shift is to select a row of objects.
That's easy. That's pretty easy.
A little hut. But auto exposure is still turned on right now. So what we can do is select metering mode, and instead of auto exposure histogram, select manual. Now we control exactly what our exposure is with the exposure compensation. So if we leave it at 9, press play again, we see that we don't have any auto exposure in game. So you might be wondering exactly what the post-process volume is. Well, the post-process volume is a great way to add.
Yeah. That's this. Saturation? Wait, see it. Do some interesting type of, I don't know, colors and graphics. I'm like, Hotline Miami.
Changes. I can even boost the saturation down here. So instead of 1, drag this up. And now we have a really vibrant and saturated scene. And of course, I can uncheck this to get rid of that change. So if you want, there are a ton of different settings. You can go through and see what all of them are. But you might be wondering, how do I create a post-process volume if I don't have it inside of our world? So to begin, I'm going to press G.
Probably should have said that first.
Key to bring back all of our editor widgets, select the post-process volume, and let's delete it so we can go over how to create post-process volume from scratch. Of course, we're going to select the add button. It's going to be under volumes. Down here, we have post-process volume. So
And then be volumes. Post-processing. I see.
So if we drag this into our world, and we see that we have a little square. So let's make a very quick change. So the change I want to make is...
Where the heck is the square? Oh. It's automatically scaled inside to be a little thing.
We can see those changes taken into effect. And right now, by changing global saturation, bringing it down all the way to 0, it gives us a black and white world. Now, what if I want the post-process volume to affect our entire world? Well, scroll all the way down here, and under infinite extent unbound, make sure that...
I had a feeling. I knew it. Does that make it a global? Or is that something... Wait. I'm like, there's a setting that it was enabled. No. Did they just rename it? I think they just renamed it. I'm thinking this is a separate entity. Duh. It's just a rename. Yeah. Yeah. Type. Post. Okay. That's good. That's okay. So, type. What is it? It's a post-process volume. They're both the same thing because it's just renamed. I'm going to move it into my volume folder.
That's turned on. So that's how we don't have to be within the post-process volume for that.
I do love the UI and everything. It feels like it's so important how good this is because
Post-process volume.
Same thing with Blender. I didn't really use it until 2.3 until they kind of like really kind of did the UI like this.
Take effect.
Make it colorful and actually good on the eyes.
Over materials, but
and not well. When I got into it, well, you could change it, yes, but default it was white.
Keep in mind that
why light mode?
materials can be a little bit complicated, especially if you're brand new to 3D art. So if
yes.
you do find yourself a little bit lost throughout this course, do keep in mind that
I feel great.
Back in the section and
I actually feel like, no joke, I feel super confident. It's just relearning a bike right now. In some way,
materials, I want to create a brand new map. So to do so, let's create a folder where we're going to store all the assets we create. So I want this folder to be under content, right next to the starter content folder.
Oh, okay. A brand new map. Materials, level, blueprint class. Oh. That's the thing where you can have bugs, you know, container from multiple emitters for combined together, like beautiful bird. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. That stuff I don't know because that's new to Unreal 5. That's big. That's also good for crowd simulations as well. Because you would use the same thing, it's just the animation would be different. So like zombies, this. So any next zombie game made in Unreal 5 is going to be super optimized. So that one game that wasn't ready, or that released before Unreal 5, unfortunately missed. Well, they probably created their own systems, subsystems of this. And I wonder, maybe even Unreal 5 took some of those systems and actually, or Unreal, the creators, you know, those guys, maybe saw that and it was like, hey, a little something, something. Because I don't know how big that would be. That might be more of a either inspiration or like backdoor, here's some money. We know how you did this, so we can just know it. And then they improve it and make it better. Or they could have just done like, oh, like the devs do for moderators or mods. It's like, oh, this person made a cool mod, like Hearts of Iron 4 or whatever. The devs see that, they take inspiration and make a mechanic off of it. That's not pretty the exact same for the propaganda case, but everything else, not really. Propaganda case, you can't really do anything better because the dude who made the mod made it pretty good. So like, if you do that, then you kind of have to use the same system. But for this, oh my goodness, I'm giddy. What, a new level?
And you can select open world or basic. I'm gonna select basic.
Okay. Save in this area, okay. I don't know why that doesn't show for him. He's got 5.0. I got 5.03. And there was a 5.1, but that's preview. And I don't get into that. I would rather get into this than get into that. Also, this is loading. Do I remember? Hey, okay. There we go.
And now we have a pretty basic level. It's just the floor right here and the sky. Now, in order to save this level in a specific location in our content browser, you need to press Control and S. And it's going to ask us where we want to...
I see. Okay, so ooh, so we could have multiple windows up on top and go between. Nice. That would be good.
Take this level, select my stuff, and let's call this one.
Level. Oh, so that's how. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, I'm liking this. This would be. Also, keeping the same name for everything is also another big thing, especially for modding. You need to do that because it's level 1. Level 1 level. Yeah. Why do that?
And then select save. Now pressing Control and Space to bring my content drawer, we can see that under my stuff, our level is
I mean,
saved. So if
you
we want
can.
to go back to this level, I just have to double click, and we will open up that level. Now,
I don't think that's good.
I do want to make some adjustments.
dev
If we
process.
zoom in on the floor,
Maybe I'm
or
wrong.
we can see that our grid is showing through, and it's right.
But it's like, I'd rather do
Now
that.
this grid will be distracting when we're showing off materials, so I'm going to come up
Well, it's better for me. I say that. It's better for me.
to show and uncheck the grid to hide it. That's all we see is the.
Oh, I see. No keybind. Fog. Alt F. Collision. Alt C. P. Navigation. Oh, so you can turn off the flags in here. This way. Developer. HDR. Oh, physics field. Oh, that looks so good. So much goodies. Definitely is overwhelming, but like all this really is kind of. You wouldn't really use one without like a few other of these, especially like in any type of game. So it's not really just so many individual things, it's more so group of things, but can be used individually. But I would like it if this was a groups, like it shows that, hey, this is the visualized group. This would be nice if there was a little bit more like, there's like motion, maybe visualize motion group, and it shows like basically they kind of already did it, like everything kind of motion is kind of in thing, physics, they kind of already did it in this way, but it actually works alphabetically as well, funny enough.
So I think this floor is a little bit too big for our purposes, so I could use R and hover in between the Y and X axis to then scale it down like this, or alternatively within the details panel of this floor, I can set it to one in the X axis, one in the Y axis, and one in the Z axis, just to give us
That's what you want to do for the, well, mostly you would want to. Okay, there it is. So I was like, do I have to open it again? You would want to scale it like this, because I scale stuff in Blender like this too. Actually, could you do this? Oh, wait. Can you select all of them? In Blender, you could like just click and drag and select all.
smaller floor. I also want to add an object to place our materials on top of, and we can do so by pressing Control and Space. And Unreal actually comes with a bunch of assets and objects by default. So this is content that is not located in starter content. Instead, it's located in the engine folder. And if you don't see your engine folder right here, that's because you need to come to settings.
Oh, okay. Oh, big. Engine folder, settings.
And make sure show engine content is enabled. Now we get.
Oh. Show engine content. There it is. Right here. Little small on the words. The text is small, especially for my eyes. So engine content, engine C++ classes. Yeah. Clothing system. Engine. Nice. I like you to get a good overview of this stuff because I know I'm going to revisit later. Even though I'm probably most likely not going to remember all of it. Even though some of it I've already visited before. I think, because I've used... They've had their own content stuff before. Because they've made their games. But...
access to all of Unreal's default content that is contained in every single project. So let's go to content, and I believe it is under engine meshes, and it's specifically SM.
Wait, meshes? Oh, engine meshes. I should be looking at the video, not just like, because I like to listen and then do what they're saying, but that's okay. Sometimes you see.
_ map preview mesh. Now we can also select engine.
Wait. Oh. Uh-oh.
And type in SM_matte to bring up that asset. So we'll drag it into our world.
Oh. This thing is so... Like, that's iconic right there. Like, the material thing, to see how your material is and
rotate
everything.
it 90 degrees.
Everything through,
rotate
like,
it 90
the
degrees
light.
exactly by making sure snapping is enabled up here. Now I also want to control the exposure, since if we zoom in on the shadows and zoom out, we can see that auto exposure is enabled right now. So let's create a post-process volume. If I go to volumes, post-process,
Because, yeah, we don't have... Wait, what's our folder? Because in the basic... Oh, there's nothing. It's just lighting. And then we just put... Yeah, matte preview mesh. I guess that's why I put that as at the name. But I'd rather have level 1 underscore... Or level underscore 1 underscore the name. Part 1, part 2, or... Entry... Blah, blah, blah.
Process, simply dragging it out. I want this to affect the entire world, not just whatever is inside this box. So scroll down.
Be a little bit
and
different
make sure
than the other one.
Extend bound is turned
Don't
on.
it,
Now, if we
don't
go
want
up
it to
here,
be the same.
under
I want to try
exposure,
something
make sure
different.
metering mode is set to manual instead of auto. And
That's right. That's right. It's on 2 speed. I was going to do that anyways, but that's okay. Manual. What is he going to set it to?
We can bring this up. I found a value of 11 to be pretty good. Now, as a reminder, if your exposure isn't changing from your post-process volume, you need to make sure that inlit game setting is turned on.
I was going to just change that on. Hey, see, he's like right on it. It's 4. I always think it's like, what is 1? I'm pressing 1. That's doing something, and I don't know what. I don't see it, but it's worrying me that I don't see it. But I guess, hey, that's going to be what it is.
Because otherwise, it's going to default to EV100 setting right here as the exposure amount. So make sure game view is turned on. That's how we're using post-process volume. And since I do like my scene right now, you want to make sure to save everything with Control and S. And actually, I think I'm going to bring down my exposure to let's leave it at 10.5. So now it's finally time to go over materials. And adding a material to your world is actually pretty simple. So press Control Space, and luckily starter content comes with a bunch of materials by default under the materials folder.
Starter content. That's here. Materials. So it does have a world. Oh. Interesting. Some of these look like from Polygon, which is what's his face's Blender Guru's website, which I do have the free stuff, and I actually did buy one. Actually, I got it for free somehow, 15 credits. And then I used it to buy a few things. Technically buy, but I didn't buy the stuff. I got it for free somehow.
And we see we have a bunch.
I think when he first got it open, it was like, hey, do this. And I was watching this video. I was like, okay, cool.
Materials that we can use. So to add a material to our world, you want to simply hold down the left mouse button and drag it until you're hovering over whatever object you want this material to be placed on, and let go. It is
okay. Gold. Of course, we're going to go for it. Okay, cool. Didn't work. Select. What? Okay, there we go. I'm like, huh? Oh, it was loading. I just put 2. Right click. Uh-oh. Oh, I see. Never mind. It put it on both. And that's loading? Yeah, preparing shaders. Oh, that's nice. So it prepares the shaders. Because if you're going to download Unreal, it definitely takes a hot minute, but... Well, 5 point something because of the shader crap. Oh, it's water! Oh, I should have read it. But that's awesome looking, though. That is sick. Oh, yeah, look at that exposure. Look at that auto exposure. Oh, my goodness. Hey, we're playing Warzone. Oh, wait. Hey, we're playing Warzone. We're inside. That looks sick, though. God, that looks so beautiful. And you don't even need to use Unreal as a game engine. You can use it as a movie thing. It's being used like that way more now. It could have been in the beginning as well, but not too many people thought of doing it.
Is that simple. So now we have a brick floor, or for example, make this
floor, because I want to get my materials in, and I got to learn how to connect the materials through this game. You can bake it in here too. Well, that's hot. That's really hot. That's probably old, but that's still hot. We're in space, alien space. This is our trophy from our planet. Countdown. Is it gonna load? Oh, Jesus. Oh. Wait. There is just one element. Okay, so it looks like that, but okay. So it's... they use the same base under texture? Unless it's layering it, which would be sick. But I don't know if that does or not. It makes me want to just... Oh. almost shed a tear just how beautiful it is. Because, like, the opportunity... Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want light. Okay, so, actually... Content browser? There it is. Ah. Interesting. So, you're doing this in-engine? You are. Oh, no. Well, why are you masking? You're creating... base color? Oh, I see. So, the base color is purple. And they're using the green as an alpha for the metallic. Okay. So I would put in... They got oh, they do got roughness. Okay. So for my textures, I can easily put them in here. Only issue is the normal sometimes for, like, the displacement map, which means it actually deforms. Normal map doesn't displace the actual mesh. Displacement maps actually displace the mesh. So this would be actually there, but not really at the same time. It's a way how to do it, but not do it at the same time. And then also there's bump as well, but I wonder how that stuff is. This is the roughness, so they're doing a 0.3. So over here is the value that they're putting, so 0.3 roughness. I can make this, so that's more metallic. If I put it to 1, this could be more rough. Like, yeah, not metallic. Oh, dude, I'm gonna fly through this. I remember trying to figure this out. Well, it looked a lot worse. It looked a lot worse. It's so much. The UI is so big. Like, these buttons like this wasn't like this. Oh my goodness. Palette. Oh, I don't know what that is. Is that the atmosphere? That is. Okay, so that is your Blender, get your shader stuff. It was Shift A in Blender, now it's right click. And then bring out your desaturation. Yeah. Right here. Now X, I'm used to X being deleted in here, so it's just a delete key. I would have to figure out a way, because there would be a way how I could nix this, but I don't know if I would want to nix it like this. This texture is kind of good on its own, unless you can somehow nix these two together. I need to know how to do that, if you can in this. I hope so. Kind of went a little side rails here, but this is, for me, something I really want to look at. This is awesome. Material, surface, two-sided. Color grading, saturation. Oh. Look at that gold. Oh. How shiny that is. Oh.
Middle, we have the material graph. Essentially, what the material graph does is basically we have a bunch of nodes that connect to each other, and their end goal is to eventually be outputted into one of these outputs right here, which will
I don't need to see too much of that material.
Now, the controls are pretty similar to the controls of our viewport when in orthographic view mode. So hold down the right mouse button to pan, and then use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So right mouse button pan, scroll wheel zoom in and out. You can select nodes by just clicking on them or holding down the left mouse button to marquee select. Now to the left right here is the viewport. If you hold down the left mouse button, you can pan around this preview mesh right here, which helps us see our material when we're editing it. Now we can change the preview mesh down here, so maybe you want to use a cylinder or a flat plane, a square, but for now I'm going to keep it at a sphere. And right below that is the details panel. So if we select the node, we're able to edit that node's properties right here in the details panel.
No preview mesh, so that's the mesh. Oh, that's pretty cool. Because we just created this material, so there's no mesh on it. So if I actually look at the other one, I can actually see the mesh actually here and look at it in this window. Isolated from everything. That's nice.
Panel. So how do we create a node? Well, we come all the way over here to the palette, click on it, and now we have a selection of all the different nodes we can use to create a material. We can also right-click anywhere to get that same palette. So under palettes, I want a constant 3 vector.
Always type, always search it. It's way faster.
Is essentially Unreal's version of color. It's R, G, and B for red, green, and blue. Right now this node is set to black. I could edit it by coming to the details panel and double-clicking on the color to get a color picker, or I can double.
Wait, a constant 3 vector, so constants. A little annoying in that way, but makes sense. So constants 3, so gives you 3 values, and RGB is 3 values. So that's why. Okay.
Why? Is because the constant 3 vector is essentially Unreal's version of color. It's R, G, and B for red, green, and blue. Right now this node is set to black. I could edit it by coming to the details panel and double-clicking on the color to get a color picker, or I can double-click on the node itself to get that color wheel.
The UI. Oh, like the UI.
So notice how when I do change the color right here, there are no changes. That's because its value is set to 0. I can bring up its value by clicking onto this rectangle right here. So now when I change this color, we notice that color changing. And when I do like a color, I want to confirm that this node is going to stay that color by clicking OK.
Okay. Do green.
So now we have our first node with a new color. Essentially, if I hover over this pin right here, hold down the left mouse button, I'm able to drag out a wire. And I can choose where I want to place these wires in any of the inputs right here. Now, of course, because this is a color, it should probably go to base color. So with my left mouse button still held down, I'm going to hover over the base color pin.
Let's go first.
Now we can see that our color is affecting our material. So let's see what this looks like in our level. So press Control Space, and let's drag first material onto the sphere, and notice that there are no changes right now. This looks like the default material. And that's because we first need to compile our material after we make any changes to see that change in our level. So go to first material.
Well, I want to see that on my own. Well, I can see that right here, really. But I'll just place it, just get it. Boom. I see it. Oh no, what do I do? Okay. Tell me.
And to compile material, you want to click on the Apply button. And also read it and save it, so if Unreal crashes, we don't lose our progress. Now,
there's also... Wait. Saving game level. Finishing shader compiling?
Now jumping back into first material, if we, let's say, change the color to a light blue, jump back into our level, we see that there were no changes because we need to make sure after we edit a material that we compile it with the Apply button. And now we see that light blue. That's how you add color.
This... Oh no, the color does change here, so if you're like looking back... I see. Okay, so that is useful. So it's like, okay, do I want to change that? Okay, apply. Yeah, okay, so that's roughness.
Instead of editing the base color, we're now going to edit the roughness channel right here. And roughness doesn't take a color value, of course. Instead, it takes a scalar value in between 0 and 1. So 0 means it's really smooth, and 1 means it's really rough. To get a scalar value, you want to come up to Palette, and under Constant, select the constant 1 value. Left mouse button hold, and drag it out. And now we get a node that is simply a number. So 0 will be smooth, 1 will be rough. Let's make this really smooth.
Yeah. Hey, was I doing this tutorial earlier?
Giving a value of 0.1.
I like
and
that.
And left mouse button hold and drag it.
Let's see this now.
If for some reason you ever want to break a wire, all you have to do is hold down.
Ready? Boom. Apply. Not really that many changes. But I think actually no, I do see it. It's just it's still so bright because of saturation, not too many changes, but you can tell it's definitely flatter. And then we do this. Tell it right here, definitely. Yeah. I could tell. It's because you can actually tell a little bit more because you see these like a little bit more pixelations, which is the light bouncing off the metal. Oh. Apply.
Left click to break any pins. And we will not see this change in our level unless we press Apply. So jumping back into materials, I'm gonna press F and hold down Alt and left mouse button.
And there's still a save
around my material
too, so I still have to save this material. So you can apply material and not save it? I feel like that's kind of stupid. I feel like that's a little counterintuitive.
Pressing Control and D to duplicate it, or I can get it from the palette, and of course I can right click and simply type in constant. So normally when I am getting nodes in, I just right click and type in the name of the node and press Enter to bring it in.
Could you just do this? No. I tried to alt-click. Now, does this change? Oh, okay. So I just Control-D. Okay. Boom. Metallic. So 0. And then 1. How's this gonna look? Ooh, yeah. There's that. That's trippy. So it's like metallic, but also... Because I have this roughness to 1. But the metallic is also 1. So it's like a... I don't know. What would that be? It's hard to like describe. It's like flat metallic. It's a cool mixture. Makes it look cool. And if I change this to 1? Or 0? Apply. Yeah, there it is. There's that. Yeah.
So I'm going to give us a value right now of 1. Since by default there is no metallic value, it's set to 0. So send it to 1. And plugging it into metallic.
Save.
We'll make this blue pretty metallic. And in fact, let's go change the color to something orangey. Press Apply. And now we made a gold material. It's very important to point out that Unreal Engine's material system is based off of physically based rendering, or PBR for short. For example, right now I have a project open up to demonstrate
PBR values.
And the two main ones to know about are
Got it.
Cleaner and Shinier. And
Wait,
then
how do you do that? Wait, where do you get that then?
And play with the metallic value, which is right now has default value of 0. So it's not metallic.
That's pretty
but
cool.
slowly we can see it goes from a plastic material all the way to a very shiny gold material. And if we play with the roughness value, we can really see those changes taking effect. Now, both these values are clamped from 0 to 1. So let's say if we input a roughness value of -1, then it'll be clamped to 0. Or if we go above 1, then it's going to clamp it down to just 1. So keep that in mind that if you do try to input a value that's outside the 0 to 1 range, you won't see any changes. And it's important to point out that generally for metallic values, we never go in between 0 and 1. You won't really see a material that's 0.5 metallic. Instead, materials are either all the way 0 or all the way 1. Here I am back in our original
It
project.
depends on what you're kind of doing. Because he's talking about more realistic textures. Where's the tune texture there? You know, all that type of stuff. Not even just that, but everything else.
We no longer have our material opened up here. Well, that's fine. You can always open up the material on any object by clicking on that object.
But for that, though, because then you can start tweaking and make it actually look properly like gold, or you can just apply the gold texture that has all the like extra stuff that makes it. Because that's the thing, you can get close to it, but it's interesting having that surface level or like actual surface imperfections is super huge. And then not just only that, but like everything else that's included with that. Oh, that looks cool. And here, that's not there. And that's where nowadays, that's the thing that everybody uses now to make everything look so. That's when you see something and you are kind of like hesitant. Wait, is that real or not? And it's really because of that. Not just only that, but a mixture of the roughness and everything else kind of being mixed to create the illusion of whatever that you're trying to create.
To open up our original material.
You create an illusion, yes, but you can also, in the same time, we're in a actual render world. Like, this is being rendered. Like, the trippy thing about this, it's like it's an actual thing. So, like, we're the 4th dimension. This is the 3rd dimension, which is actually true, which is nutty in that way.
Created. Alternatively, you'll see a little magnifying icon right there. If I select that, then it's automatically going to jump to that material's location.
Oh, that's what that does. Ah. Yep, there it is. Okay. There's the illuminance and like the actual lighting. So they just have. Oh, no. Wait, what's this? Why is that shut off? Yeah, so this is a special thing. Yeah, okay, cool.
Our content drawer, and we can double click to open it up right there like that. So the PBR sliders we were just playing with are the metallic and roughness values right here. So those sliders correspond with these values. So hopefully you understand exactly what they do now. Now I'm going to make a slight edit. So for metallic, let's bring it from 1 to its default value of 0. So that's how it's kind of like a plastic material right now. And also, I think it's a little bit too bright. So double clicking on the color, I'm able to decrease the brightness by playing with its value. So bring it down a little bit, press OK, press apply. And now I do think we have a nice material, but normally when you have plastic outside, it wouldn't be this uniformly shiny. You would expect dirt to pile on the material and make some areas of the material rougher than others. So let's jump into first material. And to add a texture,
do we have some inbuilt stuff?
Let's go into starter content. So starter content comes with a bunch of textures under the textures folder. And the texture I want to use is specifically t_Perlin_noise.
Well, okay. How is this going to scale though? Oh, so then, so for this, oh wait, this, yeah, there you go. Oh. So for this is nice to pull up here. Okay. You want to drag it out?
So to get a texture into your material, simply left mouse button hold, drag it in, and let go like that. Alternatively, you can right click, type in texture sample, select that, and then within the details panel, in the drop down of texture, go ahead and find whatever texture you want to use.
Oh, so, okay, so that's that.
And select it. So that's an alternative way to add in a texture. And now that we have a t_Perlin_noise, if we open it up, we can see that it's just black and white.
Wait, to add any texture? Well, can you add in? No. Okay.
All the pixels of the texture represent a value in between 0 and 1. So they are perfect to plug into either metallic or roughness. Plug our texture into roughness since we wanted to drive the roughness value of our material.
Boom. And then into the roughness.
And delete the old nodes since I no longer need it.
Oh, that was cool.
Jump back into our material example.
Why did it look like that?
And the texture I want to use is specifically t_Perlin_noise.
Let me see that
texture
again.
into your material, simply left mouse button hold, drag it in, and let go like that. Alternatively, you can right click, type in texture sample, select that, and then within the details panel, in the drop down of texture, go ahead and find whatever texture you want to use, and select it. So that's an alternative way to add in a texture. And now that we have a t_Perlin_noise, if we open it up, we can see that it's just black and white. All the pixels of
I see. Okay.
the texture represent a value in between 0 and 1. So they are perfect to plug into either metallic or roughness. Plug our texture into roughness since we wanted to drive the roughness value of our material, and delete the old
see. Okay. 0. I actually want to see what this looks like. Boom.
Since I no longer need it. Press apply, chop it back into our material example, and now if I angle it with the sun, and here's a nice tip, if I hold down Control and L at the same time, I'm able to rotate that sun.
Ooh, ooh, that's big. Whoa. Kind of like a Hulk texture. Whoa, we can actually see the UVs. That's not good. How do you fix that? Can you fix that in Blender? Because that's big. That's more so the object, though. Nah. Well, yeah. But that kind of shows you kind of need something to not be that type of thing, because that's not UV stretched right. You have to go in Blender and stretch the UVs, or in here if you can. So it's not stretched like that. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Yeah, Control now. Whoa, it can... Okay. Wait, what?
Sun. So I'm able to bring it down.
Control L? Oh, you hold Control. Okay, so Control L, hold Control. Wow, that's awesome. And then you can go nighttime. 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 Wow, look at that. Beautiful. Nice little sunset. Get like a little camera. That's actually not leveled. And that bothers me. That bothers me. Oh no, I think that's okay. There we go. And then you Q. I could just do G. There we go. That looks sick. I like that.
Like move around and see what our material looks like in different lighting scenarios. And right now, our material is looking a lot more realistic. We can see that because of our material, all the black spots represent shiny areas, and all the white spots represent rough areas, which gives our material a nice smudgy look to it to just break up that uniform shininess. At this point, let's switch up the colors. Since if I go into color mode,
It's also kind of funny that they took out this spot right here.
if I go in Alt 3 for unlit, we can see that's still all one uniform color. Pressing Alt 4 to go back into lit mode, I want it where all the smudges are a different color. That's a little bit more brown than orange to represent dirt. So let's go back into first material, and we can duplicate this by pressing Control and D, or we can right click and type in constant 3 vector and select that.
No,
so
you Control and D. Well, you can, but
color.
you
Maybe
should
right
Control
here,
and D.
okay. And now I want to lerp in between.
That is so much faster and needs to be like learned. That comes from personal
The orange color
experience.
and the brown color, depending on our alpha texture. So wherever there's white, I want it to pick brown, and wherever there's black, I want it to pick orange. And we can do this through a linear interpolate node. So right click, type in linear, and then interpolate, select.
Okay, linear. Interpolate. Interesting.
That, or a shortcut, is to hold down the L key and the left click. So
Okay, so it's a powerful node and common node, so just L
left click
click.
in the work node, since we are going to be using that node a lot. And on the subject hotkeys, if I hold down 3 and left click, that gives us a constant 3 vector for color. Or if I hold down 1 and left.
3 is color, and click. Delete. L. Click. Lerp.
Click. That gives us a basic scalar value.
And then 1. Click. 2 click. Yeah, and then 3 click. I see.
Like for metallic and roughness. So 1 and left click for scalar value, 3 and left click for color. So let's plug this up to A, plug the brown one to B, and for alpha texture, I want it to lerp.
Okay, so he is keeping that.
Depending on our original mask, that's right now driving our roughness. So drag our DB into alpha, and drag that all into base color. And now we
Hey, kind of don't need that.
can see that where our object isn't shiny,
Kind of hard to tell because I'm going crazy with my stuff. Oh no, wait, also this. Yes, never mind. There we go. There we go. I like it. Like a little rust.
the color changes to a dirty brown. Pressing apply, jumping back in here, we notice that
Kind of like a banana.
material is
A
definitely
rotten banana. He's making a rotten banana texture.
a lot more realistic.
Oh, this also could look like blood. Oh, it's bloody. Yeah, that looks blood. In this view, that looks so much like blood.
You can imagine that this was once plastic or really shiny paint, and over time dirt has slowly started to build up on the material, making it pretty dirty. Now we can make this even better by, instead of lerping in between two colors, we're lerping in between a color and another texture. So there's a very good texture under star content textures, and it is right here. So it's T_metal rust. Open this up, we can see what it is.
Oh, okay. This... There's a few, though.
But right now we don't notice anything. That's because the alpha channel is turned on.
The rotten banana skin.
And an alpha channel handles opacity. So if you ever open up the texture and you don't see anything, make sure you come up to A and uncheck that. So now we can see it. And while this is rust, I do think it functions well as dirt, especially for a very small detail. Like on this material, it's going to be hard to tell that this is rust instead of dirt. So let's drag this onto our material graph and plug it up right there instead of the original dirt. And press apply. So congratulations.
I think that would... Well... I see. And I just... Yeah. Oh. Then could I... Yep, okay, so that's the Mix RGB node from Blender. Gotcha. But with an alpha channel. Gotcha. Because there's both there, but it's... Probably would be better, because this is where you gotta figure out, okay, where do you want this to be to look best in the actual texture itself? Because you could use here, and flip. Then we kind of go at those spots, so it's a little bit less pronounced, but a little bit darker in the darker areas.
Congratulations, you just made your first material in Unreal Engine 5. While it's not the best, it definitely is a good introduction to the power of the material graph. Before we continue, we first have to download some free assets I created for this tutorial to help us learn Unreal Engine. You can find a link to download the free assets in the description of this video. The reason why is because in this section, we're going to go over how we can take a texture and import that texture into Unreal Engine and use it in one of our materials. So,
okay, guy. What's your textures, though? I mean, that's good. This is also 4 months old, so it's pretty new. Downloadable assets. Unreal 5 beginner castle assets. On his website, I see. Unreal Sensei. Hey, I appreciate shout out. Okay, I mean, it looks pretty good, his stuff. Like, he's got a few things in there, like castle stuff. Shout out. Okay, shout out. But also bad because you have to give your name and email, so... Shout out, but not shout out at the same time. Because this is what I'm looking at right now. Sorry, I'm looking at this on my second monitor, his stuff. Also, I believe in watching so many different, like, same information, but different videos from multiple people. I believe that 120,000%. We're at 54 minutes and 59 seconds within this tutorial. We're watching at 2x speed, but that's good because, for me, I can. I do apologize if someone trying to keep up, if that's a little too fast. But probably really fast, but it's good to at least, even in this way, and anyway, that's how I learned the German language. Even if I already know the words, just like listen over and over and over and over, and it's like, since you hear that so many different times and it's so common, it's like, okay, yeah. So once you actually experience this for yourself, and anyway, not just only this, but this type of thing is becoming more and more universal in every like kind of dev tool. So, like I said, oh, this is just the RGB mix node. That's how I am looking at this. I'm not looking at this as the lerp node. I don't care what it's named. This is the RGB mix node for me. This is the RGB colors node, which is a more basic form than the Blender one. And this is the texture thing where I would put the textures, image texture, that's what it's called in Blender, where I would put my textures. That's where I don't really care about the names. I really don't. And you shouldn't either. The names are... And that's something that threw me off in Unreal, is that they have a lot of fancy names. But you need those fancy names to kind of understand, because there's a lot of fancy stuff that do fancy things. Not just like a kind of scalable, but, you know, a few different things. But keep it in that type of wheelhouse where it's just like, it's the same thing. It literally is. And if it's like, oh, if you're a programmer, and you want a program that has this, but you're trying to call it something different, well, you know, trying to be unique, what would you call it, type stuff. That's one of the reasons why it's like that. It's so different across everything, but knowing so and being aware of that helps you understand. and keep you from being as confused as getting in with like the mindset of like you haven't seen it before. When you have 100% seen it before, and you'll see way more times, just in different forms. And now it's in this type of node form. Because coding, this is code. All this is code. It's just in modules. Literally, we're coding right now. And now coding's pushing in this form as well. It's probably going to be a little bit more AI because of how AI is catching up to overpass this because people are still developing these tools for coding. But legitimately, even my editing program has this node system for editing the video and doing like green screen and everything. And it's all coding. It's just all modules. So it's like, well, we're actually kind of being a coder at the same time. And that's when if you get into code, think of coding as the modules because they literally are. But just in a more automatic form for us to just kind of plug and play, which is awesome because that shows just how much power there is in the plug and play painting instead of like Lego bricking. Because, quote unquote, in order to be a developer, or not, quote unquote, but it's like the mentality back in days, you had to be that matrix hacker in order to get this because you have to prove yourself to know what you're doing throughout. But you don't. You don't really even need to know anything. You just need to know what does what and just repeat that action nonstop. If it works, it works. So like, you know this works. You don't even need to know how it works. Just keep doing it because it works. Eventually, your mind will mold to it and be like, okay, what's next? And that's when you dive a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. And that's when you start realizing, oh, wait, everything is the same. It's just different, like worded, really.